Yeah. Since 2019, we've been building mindset and purpose. For real estate agents, entrepreneurs, leaders, people becoming more than they were yesterday.
Monday through Friday we rise. We win the morning, we win the mind. Faith over fear, pressure into purpose. Confidence built through the work. Something good is gonna happen to me. Something good is gonna happen to me. I don't need all the answers, I just need belief. Becoming who I'm called to be. Making impact bigger than me. God first, doubt steps back. When it gets heavy, we figure it out. You're not here by accident. You're part of the story. Stepping strong, stepping faith. Let's get your mindset right.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Because I have to get out right now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you all. Happy Figured Out Friday. Happy Figured Out Friday. Put TGIF in the chat because John Root and John Hall, my Johns, they both like it. They both like when we put TGIF. Guys, when I decided to put the calendar, I did not do a very good job. So everybody's just going to have to hold on 1 second as I let Bryce out. Yes, you're a car rider. Have a great day. I love you. We have rehearsal later.
Yeah.
I'll see you. Make sure you give the flowers to the teacher.
You can't.
I'll call the school. Love you. And just like that, he's out and about. And they're all the little kids. You know, sometimes I just like look at these little kids and I'm like, they have no idea what life's about to do to them. Right, John Hart? They have no clue what's about to unfold, but they're so cute. They're just like, I want to go back. How many of you, put a 3 in the chat if you want to go back to being in elementary school? Maybe you didn't like your youth. I don't know, but like, I would go back. I really would. See, let's see. See, okay, I got some people that would go back too. I don't know. I just think it'd be fun. Anyways, good morning, all. Good morning to you. It is going to be a Figured Out Friday as I am driving back from dropping off Bryce Boy. So good morning to everybody. Good morning to you all. We got a special guest this morning. Special guest. I was on her podcast several weeks ago and was listening to her story. And she comes from Nashville, Tennessee. Who's from Tennessee in here? Put TN in there. And if you were also part of our Success Summit, put TN if you were out there in Nashville. I just like saying Nashville like that. I don't know why I don't say normal, but I just like saying Nashville. I like saying that like that with Fran. What up, Michelle? See, I'm trying to find myself in a spot like I really had to pay attention to the roads because there's a lot of kids. And I don't need to start that, chat. I do not need to start that off on a bad note and hitting any of these little ones. So good morning, everybody. My name is Coach Brock Zevan, life coach, business coach, real estate agent. I got a new listing going up today. Got to do some videos type of stuff. And a DAD. And Leo's got himself a little bit of he's got to go for a little haircut today. So we got a balancing act. Bryce has his first communion tomorrow, so I'm excited about that for him. I'm just gonna be honest with you, that's a 2-year process. That is a 2-year process going through that, dropping them off and everything else. So we are excited about graduating from that and him getting into the church world. So excited for that. And I'm excited to bring Megan on today because Megan is one of those people, her alignment that she being, well, I'm divorced, and going through that whole process, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of challenges, things you have no idea how much attorneys cost, how long it's going to be, what it takes. Every state it's different. You got kids, you got assets, you're trying to make a living, you're trying to get through life, you're trying to figure out this new world. And Megan really helps a lot of single women. And she helps and she puts herself out there. And her story is very remarkable. And what she does now to help people is truly inspiring. And when I heard more and more about her, I was like, Megan, we got to get you on Figured Out Friday. We got to get you on here. So, guys, I'm not going to steal all her thunder. Please put some fires in the chat. Put some hearts in the emojis for those of you that know how to do those hearts and the emojis. As we welcome Miss Megan Farrell. Good morning, Megan. Look at
I'm
that. All she
unmuting.
wants.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
We got you now. We always tell people when
Awesome.
they're talking, when they're muted, those are all your F bombs you want to throw out first. You
Yeah,
throw out all
got
your
him out of
curse
the
words
way.
first. Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, Brock. I appreciate it.
Well, it's been, I was a joy to be on your podcast. I can't believe already that's been, I don't know, almost 2 months being on your podcast. And
hmm
I am just very grateful because you're on Central Time, I believe. You're a little early over there.
I am, but that's okay because you're a DAD, I'm an MOM, and I've got to head to a field trip after this podcast today. So I cleared my calendar, going to do this podcast and be mom the rest of the afternoon. So it worked out perfect that we did this early. So thanks again for having
Well,
me. Yes.
that is awesome. You enjoy that MOM time. And happy
Yeah.
Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's
Thank
Day
you.
to you and to all our mothers that are on here today. Special,
Yeah.
you know, I love my their mother. She without them, without Laura, I would not have kids. So I always so appreciative of her, and appreciative of all
Mhm.
the moms and my mom. And so thank you so much for all that you do for your children. And so truly a happy Mother's Day to you. A happy Mother's Day weekend. So tell us, those that don't know you, give
Mhm.
us a 10,000-foot overview of who you are, what you're all about, so that way our audience gets to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, again, my name is Megan Reed. I'm here in near Nashville. I'm at Brock at his event. I've started I have a lot of hats. If you know me, I wear a lot of hats, and I have a lot of hats in life that I do, as many of us do as entrepreneurs. I work in title work in Nashville, real estate transactions and all the things, but mainly my heart, soul, and passion is unstoppable. And I had built that in 2021. Unstoppable is actually two platforms. One is your public speaking side, your event space, coaching, all the things, book writing, all that. And then Unstoppable Women is truly what I feel like I'm put on this earth to do, which is helping the working single moms get a hand up, because these moms fall under the cracks a lot. And I was that mom. My son is now 20. But a 10,000-foot overview of this would be when he was two, me and his dad, or not even two, me and his dad split up, and I went to try to get government assistance to go back to work for daycare. And they're like, you make $100 too much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to do all the things right. I'm trying to be there and work and support. I just need assistance to work. And I thought, man, if I'm that mom, there has to be so many. And little did I know that was just a seed planted. And so many years later, when I started Unstoppable, I wanted to branch out on this charity. And it was like, God's like, now's the time. Like, you've been on every platform of it. You've been needing assistance, couldn't get it. You needed assistance, you got it. You don't need assistance, and now you're able to help other women. And that's what we do with Unstoppable Women, because these moms are just truly passionate about these mamas. They're not going to ask for help. They're usually volunteered by their friends and their family because they're making it work no matter what. And we just kind of offer them a hand up. We offer free coaching for them. We do events for them. We help them with their Christmas. And Brock, we're even doing Mother's Day baskets. We did some giveaways for our
Oh,
Unstoppable Mamas. So we want them to know they're seen, they're heard, and we love them, because sometimes they need that reminder. Sometimes we need that reminder. So we took that time on Mother's Day to really zone in on that.
I love it. Put some hearts in the chat. I would put a heart. I was trying to put a heart in the chat while I was doing
Uh,
that. I mean, that is just really, yeah. I mean, when you think about, you make $100 too much. Sorry. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
seriously, like, do you
yeah.
understand like what it's really challenging when you go through this and you hear this process and these systems, and it's just like, who creates this stuff? Like, where does
Right.
this, and it's unfortunate people do take advantage of it, but then the people who really are doing everything they can, they're the ones that get affected by this type of stuff. And so
Yeah.
I I appreciate you sharing that story. And like I said, when I heard this, I was just like, wow, that's so remarkable in what you do. And so, as you know, the main theme on this Figured Out Friday, and you're not short of any type of challenges that you've been through, and it's made you the person who you are today and why you do what you do. But go back to a defining moment, a figure out moment for you where you had to like really figure it out. I always tell people there's no owner's manual. You can't be like, all right, this
Hmm.
shit just happened to me. I just lost this job. I have no money in my
Hmm.
account. My credit cards are maxed. And then all of a sudden my kid's sick and I don't know where, like, I can't go to my glove box and be like, all right, let me just pull out the owner's manual and go to like
Right.
page 17 and be like, okay, this is how I troubleshoot that. Talk to us about one of those moments in your life that really escalated it into your mind, into your heart, on a defining moment for our audience today.
Yeah, I think it would be there's several of those moments, but I'm gonna just pick one. One of those was when my youngest son, he had a lot of health issues when he was younger, and I could not work a full-time job. Like I had to be that stay-at-home mom. When I said I understand what it's like to have to receive those benefits, that's when we had to do it. But and still wouldn't meet. I had to go to 4 therapies a week with him. So working a 9 to 5 was just out of the question for a while. He's better now, thank God, because of all the therapies. But I had to figure out like what was my next step? What was I going to do? And I still had all these big dreams of entrepreneurship, but I knew at that time and that season it was to take care of my son, get him better so I could figure it out along the way. And so how I figured it out was my entrepreneurial mind just went into overdrive. Who could I help with marketing? Could I clean a house? Like, I'm not too good to do anything to make sure my family's taken care of, right? That's not what you wake up and you want to say you're going to do. But we did, and we found a way. We figured it out. I ended up picking up some coaching jobs, coaching a sport as well, which led to some great relationships. And then I ended up with a job where I was working with a life coach as well, and I kind of got to see behind the scenes after that. But if I wasn't in that position to begin with, what I say, the enemy means for harm, and we think our world is falling apart. And I figured it out how to work and maneuver and still be the mom I needed to be for him. I would not have been able and been aligned and ready to receive the position that I was at that point, to meet the people, to see what else I needed to do to make the puzzles move. Like I had the tools, I had the machine, the material. I just, like you said, I didn't have the blueprint manual to figure it out. But if I didn't go through all that and that season of my son being sick, where I just kind of had to just pause, slow down, figure out a new route, maybe a route I didn't really want to take or really liked at the moment, but did it, I was able to kind of move forward and make the connections and get the job that I needed to kind of put me where I knew I was called to be, and learn how to do that along the way. So I would say that would be the one I would pick because it led me to where I'm at now in the transition phase.
So it's funny, I was listening to a podcast on Steve Harvey this morning, and your story of going through that process, I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was kind of going through that God pushes you in places, because if we don't like go through the heartache, we're not going to walk
Right.
through it. We're not going to be like, I'm not too sure, that looks really hard. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go over here where there's it's a bright light. It looks like there's a couch in there. It looks really shiny, though. Looks like there's air conditioning. It's very comforting over there. I'm going to choose that path. So we don't ever go down the path, nor do we want to go down these type of paths. So God just says, like, let me just push you into this hellhole. Let me push you into this chaos, this mess, because you're going to have to figure out some things through this
Mm-hmm.
process. And so you said your process in about 3 to 4 minutes. And for those that feel like they're stuck, walk us through like that time period, because it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna wake up today, my son's sick, I got this, let me just go through a laundry. Like, how long was that process? I'm sure it wasn't a day, a week,
No.
but walk us through
Mm-mm.
this process, because somebody's probably stuck here today being
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, I've been in this a month, I've been in this for
Mm-hmm.
6 months, I've been in this for a year. For you during that time period, what was that time period? And walk us through a little bit of that process in your head.
It was about 3 years, Brock. I mean, it was
Mm,
about 3 years of figuring it out. Like you said, this doesn't always happen a month and you figure it out. It's a season. It was a hard season, but I knew that my son needed me, and everything else I was going to figure out along the way. And like I said, it positioned me. So there were days where you get up and you're tired, just like everybody, right? No matter what we do, we're tired, and I'm just like, gosh, how am I going to do it? And I always tell people, especially women that I coach now, don't try to be where you're at. Be where your feet are. Be where you're at in the
mm,
moment. And I always pray, God, don't let me miss this. What are you trying to teach me? In the good, in the bad, what am I trying to teach? Because there's blessing all around you. Even in that season, there's blessings all around me as I was figuring things out along the way. So, but for me, it was okay, we have all these doctor's appointments. Some would be just regular routine, and sometimes we would get news we wouldn't like. Sometimes we would progress. Sometimes we would go back a step, and it was just constantly a motion of a roller coaster that you were doing. And then it was like Christmas. Oh my God, how am I going to do that? I mean, I'm working, doing all these side jobs, making sure my son is taken care of, and having to depend on family to help, get the other kids when he's at therapy and doctor's appointments. So there's every type of emotion that you can imagine that goes into having a son that's disabled for a little bit and having all these therapies. In my situation, but it just goes for everybody and what they're walking through. There's going to be days where you're going to get up and you're going to feel like, oh, this is going to be it. And then by 12 o'clock, your day's ruined. You think you're going to have the best day ever.
mm.
But it's all about mindset. And it's okay to give yourself grace to be like, I'm not okay today. Today's not a good day. But that doesn't mean that all of my days aren't a good day. And it doesn't mean that everything that happened today that was bad doesn't mean that my whole day was a wash. Because we get so stuck in it, the bad, that we forget the good that's around us. That's why when I say I pray, God, don't let me miss it, I mean, and even on the hard days, don't let me miss the blessings that you showed me. The fact that I got up, the fact that I have a house, I have a job, I have family to take care of, all the things. And I think it's so easy and common sense to sit here and talk about that, but how much do we forget about that when we get in the routine of life and we are just like, man, I wanted a bigger house, and I think I should be here by now at this age and all this stuff. And we forget we're so much more blessed than where we were 10 years ago if we really want to sit there and zone
Mm.
in on that. And that's just kind of the mind space that I stayed in those hard moments, Brock, where I just kind of made myself very aware of the situation, that today may suck, but tomorrow's going to be better. And you take it day by day. Like, you literally don't overthink it, because if you do, you'll go crazy. You have to take it day by day.
How many of you are like, was Megan on our podcast? Was she on the show yesterday? Like, were
No,
you like
I
listening to
wasn't.
us? Because like that literally is verbatim what Justine, she's our leader on Thursdays, and we were just talking about this. We were just talking about how do we continuously go through the rut? How do we stay motivated? How do we continue to climb out of this? I'm like, I was like, was she on yesterday? Because like you're
No.
like an echo. And I always say, whoever is listening today, and if you were listening yesterday, God is sharing with you right this very moment that you needed to hear this twice, because maybe
Mm.
he was just like, you didn't really respond yesterday that once. I'm going to put somebody else on here today to make sure that you're really leaning into this, because you just said it right there is, God, let me, like, what is the purpose? What am I supposed to be receiving of this? Like, what am I supposed to be going through and growing through in this very moment on what this is all about? Because
Mhm.
you said two really amazing things. I don't know if you all picked up on this, but you brought gratitudes in here. And
Mm.
instead of going to Victimville and going to Complain Town and going and staying there and buying a property and hanging out off of that, because I always say you get off the life exit, the life of highway, and you go
Yeah.
off the exit to Victimville, and you find out that there's a lot of people in there and they live in comfort, and all they do when they go out is they bitch, whine, and complain about their life, but they don't want to do anything about it. But they're like, yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I completely understand. But you took it and you went from the Victimville and you went to gratitude. Like, where did you learn that? How did you, was it like just being around other people? Was it talking to God?
Mhm.
Was it watching a video? Like, because there's
Mhm.
people on here today that need to understand. I literally was doing my gratitudes this morning. I was on my walk and I needed some extra gratitude, but like I learned this through like a video of as what I where I learned it from. But like, was there something that really resonated with you on your learning these gratitude? Because I
Mhm.
think that's such an amazing thing.
I think it was everything because I mean I lived a very good life. We grew up middle class, but I think I was around some very, very strong women in my life that raised me, my mom, my aunts, my grandmas. And one thing that I've learned from them is you just show up. And I knew that if I stayed down, that like you said, I was just going to be there. And you don't, if you put yourself, you can always find somebody to have a pity party with. And sometimes you can have a pity party with yourself, right?
Yep.
And I think that's where me and God, we have such a good relationship because he's like, oh my God, there's her again. But I can be one of those that I can act like a spoiled brat to him sometimes. And then I'll come back to him like, I am so sorry. I just had a little hissy fit with you. Just have an open conversation, like we're talking on the right now, and I think that is where truth is that when you're just truthful and you're just honest and you give yourself grace,
Hmm.
because I grew up not showing myself a
Grace.
lot
I
of
love it.
grace. I was very a judgmental person until I was the one on the other side of it, and then I learned to show other people grace, right? So that was my lesson in transition there. But then I learned how to give myself grace and forgive myself for mistakes and forgive myself for things that people have not even asked forgiveness for, that I've had to move on and forgive them for, because I'm not going to be stuck in a place where my blessings or my joy is enabled because of my decisions that I'm making and other people's decisions, because we only get one life. And I know that sounds so cheesy, like you got one life, but you do. You got one life.
Yeah.
And it's so important that we do something with it. And if we sit here, and when I talk a lot, when I'm speaking on stages or I'm talking to people in one-on-one coaching, I love to sit there and say, if God forbid, if something happened to you and you had a terminal illness and they said you had a week, what on your plate would you just forget about and not worry about anymore? Because let's be real, there's a lot of things that we carry from day to day that we just carry weight, 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 and we are putting things off with friends and conversations and forgiveness for ourselves, that it wouldn't matter if we came to that point in our life, right? So why are we waiting to that 1 week of life to ending to live it that way? I mean, our kids are
Mhm.
going to be grown. Like, when I say don't let me miss it, I say that a lot, and you'll hear me say that a lot today. Like, don't let me miss it. I don't want to miss the blessings. I don't want to miss the present. I don't want to miss the bad or the good, because there's something in it in everything that we do. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen
Sorry, I
on
got a little
that.
churchy. Can't help that this morning. Just kind of
No,
came out.
it's well, I think when it's all said and done with, when you go back and you peel the onion back to many, many people, it goes back to their heartache and their headache,
Hmm.
and then they realize like they can't do it on their own, and they need that environment. That's why I love this room. That's why I love this community, this
Yeah.
everybody in here, because we're all going through a situation in some capacity, or have gone through it, and then we can help other people. And like I say, the hurricane, there's entering the storm, then there's the eye of
Hmm.
the hurricane where you think it's all calm, and then there's the other side of it, and you're like, oh damn, that was a challenge in itself. And so
Yeah.
as you progress and you've learned and you're growing and you're helping and you're at the position you are today, what's the thing that you're trying to figure out today? Like, what are you growing into? As my mom would say, let me buy a t-shirt 2 sizes big so you can grow into. Like,
Hmm.
what are you growing into today? What are you figuring out today?
I figured this out. I'm still figuring this out today. Would be, I'm an empath, so I feel everything that everybody feels, right? And so I feel like I'm growing into not learning that knows a full sentence. I don't have to over explain. Um, I love to try to help. When you have a servant's heart, I always say leave people better than you found them, and I really mean that. But sometimes I have to learn to be like, okay, boundaries, like of healthy boundaries, right? So there's times where you help and you bless, and there's times, like you said, you have to be where your feet are. So I preach be where your feet are, but I'm still figuring that out sometimes as a reminder, be where your feet are. If you are at home with your kids, or you're, trying to watch a television show with your husband or have a conversation with your friends, everything else is not an emergency unless it's an emergency, right? There's a lot of things that we make an emergency that is not an emergency, that can wait till tomorrow. So it's very important that I protect from like 7 p.m. to usually 8 a.m. the next day, is that time where, not saying I won't do things so I catch myself working when I shouldn't be working, but I'm not doing things that are an emergency for someone else that can wait till the next day. So protecting my boundaries of space, learning knows a full sentence. So that's probably one thing that I personally am figuring out still, because I love to be available and respond right then. But it's okay sometimes to have that boundary as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, once again, I feel like you're like a little fly listening to us all the time, because how many of you think of Cullen when Cullen is one of our speakers on here, and on Wednesdays, he always talks about be where your feet are. And he
Oh yeah.
always tells me all the time, Brock, be where your feet are. Brock, be in the moment, be at the time period. Because, we get caught up. It's like, oh shit, I'm doing this and I got this and I got kids here and I'm running here and da da da. He goes,
Yeah.
but you get to do that. You get to have that opportunity. You know how many people wish they had their kid, or unfortunately their child passed, and they can only dream and wish and hope and pray, or they found out they couldn't have a children, and or their children are now older and they don't ever see them, or there's a disconnect. And it's just like, so true.
Yeah.
Be thankful and grateful for what you have, and be where your feet are, and be in the moment. And so, and I love too when he said 7 to 8 o'clock, like it's so, when you're out to dinner, like I love these new restaurants all that they're popping up with. Like, you're not allowed to bring your cell phone in there anymore. You're not allowed to be on your phone. You're not
I
allowed
love it.
like they're doing technology detox. I think
Mm-hmm.
our society needs that more than anything. It drives me insane. Like when I was at dinner with my kids, I was like, no phones at the table. We call it no technology table. Like, everybody puts their phone up because we want to engage. We want to have conversations. I'm going to force you to talk. I'm going to,
Yeah.
like, Brielle, tell me. And she's got a new boyfriend, Eli. I'm always like, how's Eli? Did you guys kiss today? Dad. I was like, I just want to know, just seeing what's
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, it was really funny. So as we conclude, one of my favorite questions I like to ask people before we sign off is the one thing. Because the one thing was the book that I read that changed my life 10 years ago. So what's the one thing that you would share with us today, this audience that's on here today, the people that watch the recording, the people that listen to this? What's the one thing you want to leave us with today?
Stop waiting. Stop waiting. Whether it's a big scary dream that you haven't told anybody and you're watching this and you're like, I don't even want to write it down on paper. Stop waiting to do it. Put yourself in rooms where people that are bigger thinkers than you, build your network, stop waiting, figure it out. Keep listening to people like Brock, be in rooms with people that are motivating you, stop waiting. I wanted to write a book for such a long time, and I figured it out how to do it on my own, and I did it. And it wasn't perfect, no, but I stopped waiting and I did it. Like there's things that I have on my bucket list that I would try to explain to somebody else and they wouldn't understand it, or they would criticize me because their mind, I'm not saying I'm better or smarter, but their mind isn't at that, they're thinking this way and I'm thinking this way, so it's just different ways of thinking. You don't have to have somebody's permission to validate your reason and your why and what you're supposed to be doing. So stop waiting today, do it, make a transaction. There's Chat GPT, there's ways to figure it out. Just do it. Stop waiting.
Put that in the chat. I'll put stop waiting in the chat. Just write that in there right now, just so you can purposely use your fingers,
Mm-hmm.
because many of you are trying to be the perfection. Well, Brock, wait until I have this, and I got to
Mm-hmm.
do this, and I don't have the money to do this, and I just don't know yet. And maybe next month I'll do it, or maybe next week I'll do it, or next year I'll do it, or whatever it is. Just stop waiting and just
Yeah.
take that leap of faith to go out there. I love two words. Stop waiting. What
There
great
you go.
two words that you bring. So, Megan, how can people get in touch with you? What's it about your coaching program? There's a lot of amazing women on here today. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can they get involved with you and have conversations with you?
Just reach out. Any of my socials. I'm on Instagram, Megan_615VIP. I think they dropped it in the chat right here.
Yep, there it is.
Facebook under Megan Reed Farrell. TikTok, if you want to see ADD at its finest, go ahead. Go ahead. Go to my TikTok, because I'm going to have, kids stuff, unstoppable motivation stuff, and me shopping at Goodwill because I love a good thrift. So, all the things. So there's tons of ways to connect with me. I'm authentically who I am, but everything's written down there. So yeah, definitely go to one of those links. Let's connect. And I would love to talk to you guys more for sure.
Megan, guys, put a 5 in the chat. Put a 5 in the chat if you got something out of today in her story. I'm going to encourage you to reach out to her. Just tell her thank you. Tell her
Yeah.
thank you. Tell her how she might have helped you today. Whatever it might be, reach out to them. I always tell you all the time, it's connections, it's engagement. You never know what Megan also does. And you don't know. Maybe you're like, oh, I go to thrift stores too. Maybe you do something else that she's got lined up. You never know. And I just like this one guy called me up out of the blue because I did a post. And next thing I know, he wants to work with me on some novations and some wholesale stuff. And he's in Arizona. I'm like, how did you find me? He goes, well,
Yeah.
I just saw you online and I just want to introduce myself and connect. And next thing I know, I'm meeting this guy, Arthur, who's in Mexico right now doing a vacation. He's like, I want to meet with you. And I was like, how does this even happen? It happens because you engage. It happens because you
Absolutely.
reach out. It happens
Absolutely.
because you stop waiting and you decided to take action. So thank you, Megan, for that. That really was that was impactful for me as well. Of stop waiting.
Well, thank you for having me, Rock. I love what you're doing and the people that you motivate. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being on here. Thank you, Megan, for being on here. Thank you for starting this your Friday, your weekend. For all the mothers, Megan, for all of you, happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
it, whatever that looks like for you, your family, your friends, however that is. From my family to yours, happy Mother's Day. We will be back at 8:15 Eastern Time. Once again, one of our speakers, Kendra, will be coming back on, and she'll be leading with us on Monday. So I'm excited to have her be leading the show on Monday. So we'll be back at 8:15 Eastern Time. Till then, God bless you. Have an amazing weekend. Be safe, be healthy. See ya.